Hello, hello. So, as I record this, it is May 31st, 2021. Still dealing with COVID. Well, not COVID. Still dealing with the panic that has engulfed every reaction and procedure because of COVID. Okay. I've been asked about our trip back to America. And I wish it were that easy to just go visit, right? But I have drawn a little flow chart to show you what all it's going to take for us to get to America and come back. So let me walk you through the process. Okay, here's my little flow chart. I also have a whole folder full of paperwork and timelines written out and a calendar printed for what happens when, just to visit, okay? So the way it works out here when you're a foreigner, you get a visa, and our visa is a 1-year visa. So our visa is set to expire on August 2nd, okay? Now, it's May. Plenty of time, right? Okay, so here's how the process works. Or here's how we hope it's gonna work. You get something in the mail from the Korean government, and it says, hey, your visa's gonna expire in 90 days. Make an appointment with immigration to get your visa extended. That's when you begin to work with your employer to get all of your documentation together to go get your visa extended. Well, you have to make an appointment at the immigration office. Well, we are a family of 5. So we have to make 5 appointments. Well, the first time they had an available slot for 5 appointments was June 10th. Okay, June 10th. So we got the mail 90 days before this. The first time they had an appointment for 5, June 10th. Well, the process can take 2 weeks to get your visa extended. 2 weeks to extend a visa that they've already approved last year with the same documentation you're going to give them on June 10th. Okay, generally takes 2 weeks. Well, if our appointment is not till June 10th, we fly June 19th. So 10 minus 19 is 9 days for this 2-week process, okay? So in preparation for the June 19th flight, we have had to make 5 appointments to get our COVID test done on June 17th because the COVID test has to be done within 48 hours of that flight. So we have scheduled an appointment June 17th. Okay, not easy to get 5 appointments for this, okay? Okay, so June 17th COVID test, fly out June 19th. There's my face. While we are in America, we're visiting Georgia, South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Florida. All of this is requiring flights that I've already paid for and rental cars that I've already paid for, okay? So if this actually does take 2 weeks, that means this can't happen because this can't happen, okay? Now, here's the thing. It doesn't expire till August 2nd. We fly back July 17th. That's plenty of time right there, right? No. You know why? Because guess what we are doing in between these times? Quarantining. That's little biohazard symbol. We have to quarantine, even though we'll have had a negative COVID test there. In America, within 48 hours of this date, we have to take another COVID test. It will be negative. We fly in the 17th, we have to take another COVID test within 72 hours of that date. That will be negative also. 3 COVID tests, 1, 2, 3, and still have to quarantine for 2 weeks until August 1st. That means we can't get into immigration in time before the visa expires because we're not out of quarantine till August 1st, depending on how they gauge our days. And our visa expires August 2nd, and your visa cannot expire during the 2-week process. So, this is what we have to figure out. And none of this includes the testing, all of the stuff we've already paid for during this visit to try to see everybody. So, to recap, you get something in the mail. You have to wait for that in order to schedule your appointment. We got it in the mail. I can't schedule 5 appointments with immigration until June 10th. But I fly out June 19th and have the COVID test scheduled for June 17th. But this process might take this long, which bumps this. And if this gets bumped, then this gets bumped. And if this gets bumped, all of this that I've already paid for gets bumped. But we can't change that because we've got to quarantine in time to be here for this date and start at school. So, being a foreigner has a lot of red tape. And what's interesting, who I feel bad for, are the people that have nobody to help them. Because at least we have friends here, and the Providence, Korea is full of people trying to help me through this process. The problem is that you see is you're kind of at the whim of waiting on that piece of mail, right? Them having appointments available for you to schedule. And our family is a pretty big family compared to most Korean households here. So you wait on that piece of mail. You have to book appointments for whenever they have them available, right? And then with COVID, the timing of our COVID test has to be in this small window before our flight. Well, if our flight moves, that means we've got to reschedule the COVID test appointments. There's no guarantee that they're going to have 5 more appointments if we have to get bumped. And we might not know that we're going to get bumped until after June 10th when we go for our appointments. So someone from Providence, Korea is going with us to immigration on June 10th to basically plead our case. I've already decided I'm just going to sit there and cry. I don't know if anybody will care about that, but that's it. On top of that, we're flying a dog back from America to Korea. So that's another whole set of paperwork. He has to have, this is funny. Okay, he has to have a special health certificate done by a USDA accredited vet. That has to be within 10 days of our flight out of America. Okay. After the vet fills out that certificate, we then have to go to a USDA office in Georgia to get it endorsed, a physical endorsement thing. Well, there's one USDA office in the whole state of Georgia. It's located in Conyers. Fine, no problem. But because of COVID, they're not seeing anybody in person nor accepting mail. Okay, so the only way to get their actual endorsement is that the vet I have to find to fill out the certificate has to actually do that through an online system that she's never worked with before. I have to get a FedEx return shipping label that she will upload with the health certificate. But I'm too far out right now on May 31st to purchase a FedEx return label because that needs to be dated like July 14th, and I'm too far out to buy the shipping label, so I've had to put a reminder on my calendar when to buy the shipping label, which has to be before the vet visit, but not now because we're too far out to buy it. And then I have to do this, that the USDA office actually completes their part, pops it in the mail in time for our flight out of America. Plus you have to get a specific crate and a certain water bottle that You fill from the outside of the crate, and don't put any bed in the crate, but he needs to be comfortable to regulate his temperature because he's going to be in cargo in the plane. Maybe I should do a whole flow chart for the dog visit. Wish us luck, folks, because it feels like nothing is easy. That's what it feels like. Nothing is easy. So pray, keep your fingers crossed, whatever it is that you do, that our immigration appointment on June 10th goes as best as it possibly can, and that we get somebody who is kind and gracious and pulls whatever strings so that we can still stick with our June 17th COVID test and June 19th flight to America.